in alchemy. This is Alchemy of Steven School. Do not try this at home, not for consumption. This video does not constitute advice of any type, nor is it intended for any specific person. Years ago, when I began studying alchemy and I was digging through old alchemical manuscripts as a starting point, way back 2008. From those old writings, I can quote a few things from memory. One was some of the old alchemical manuscripts mentioned that if an alchemist were to create a philosopher's stone, theoretically it was supposed to be multiplied at least 3 times. Now, that is interesting because in this work that I've done, I am on the 3rd turn of the alchemical wheel. And the particular way that I'm doing this magnum opus, which is a wet path of alchemy, it is ready for another imbibition. The interesting thing about that is that the menstruum over here is clear. If you notice, if you've been watching this video as part of a series, the Magnum Opus Alchemy videos playlist on YouTube. So anyway, if you notice, I've been doing my extractions over here, pouring the menstruums over here. In the writings of Theophrastus Paracelsus, he referred to this as all of that vinegar being colored yellow. Pouring that over here, distilling the menstruum back onto the material being extracted, and keeping the extract, in this case my green lion, over here. Now, why is it important? Because it just so happens that I've done the third, I'm at the end of the 3rd turn of the alchemical wheel in this magnum opus. And this vinegar is now clear. So, or this menstruum, I should say. Now, I can quote from memory from the old alchemical manuscripts. One of them, I don't remember which one it was, it's been so many years ago. It said, concerning the distillation, it was talking about the distillation. It said, until all of the gold goes over the helm. So, as the menstruum has been becoming gold colored or yellow, and I pour it over to here, that could be construed, in my opinion, as fitting until all of the gold goes over the helm, because all of my gold colored liquid has gone over here. It has gone over the helm, but if you read the alchemical writings, they're very confusing. They're not understood as normal science or chemistry. So if you look at how I've devised this setup, it's not the same as a standard distillation. A standard distillation, people will just be distilling from here to here, right? This is done differently, quite differently. And this is my work, so there's a couple more interesting things that I find from the writings of the sages. In the writings of Theophrastus Paracelsus, he spoke of all that vinegar being colored yellow. And he said, when the vinegar be no more colored, to complete 2 more turns of the wheel, 2 more extractions. So now that I'm at the end of the 3rd turn of the wheel, which could be construed theoretically as a 3rd multiplication, the vinegar is clear. The writings of Theophrastus Paracelsus would indicate to spin the wheel 2 more times. Now, in the writings of Nicholas Flamel, and it may have been his letter to nephew, or some of his, maybe his hieroglyphical figures, he suggested 1 ounce of the stone of the 4th order. I remember that from researching his writings. And what I gained from that sentence is that he was suggesting a fourth multiplication, whereas Paracelsus basically said two more multiplications after the vinegar is clear. And if I compare that to my work, it comes out to the fifth multiplication. But in the writings of Flamel, he suggested 4 multiplications. And other alchemical writings suggested a minimum of 3. All of that matches my work that I've done here. I'm ending the 3rd turn of the wheel. I do not have the matter at dryness because I'm avoiding the burning. But the menstruum is now clear. So if I was to compare the writings of Flamel to this, it would mean to spin the wheel one more time. If I compare it to the writings of Paracelsus, it would mean to spin the wheel 2 more times. Now, once I do that, that will of course conclude this portion of the great work. The Green Lion Wet Path of Alchemy. At that point, I'll have my green lion here. And if this stays clear, then it would appear that this portion of the great work is done. So, in my opinion, what I'm getting at is it looks to me as though as long as this menstruum stays clear, I will be spinning the wheel 2 more times, which will equal 5 multiplications. However, there were another tidbit that I got from the writings of the sages, the old alchemical manuscripts from years ago, quoting from memory. I remember one of them said, Mercury of 7 eagles. Now, this is philosophical mercury, not elemental mercury, not metal mercury. It said mercury, philosophical mercury, of 7 eagles has power to sway the moon. In this case, I have the moon over here. So, that would indicate 7 turns of the wheel, which means that I would need to do 4 more turns. If you look at the old pictures of the green lion devours the sun, the old alchemical symbolism, it depicts the moon waiting in the water below. As the green lion devours the sun, the moon is waiting in the water below. That fits. Here's the water, here's the moon. And that particular writing, philosophical mercury of 7 eagles has power to sway the moon. 7 rotations of the alchemical wheel. And then it continued that philosophical mercury of 10 eagles has power to calcine the sun. You see? So if I follow that advice, then I need to do 10 rotations of the alchemical wheel. There was one more thing. One more thing I wanted to talk about. I can remember what it was. And I want to say it was from the actum Leyden letter. But it seems to be slipping my mind right now. Well, when it comes back to me, I'll write it down and include it in a future video. This video is part of a series. Subscribe for updates. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.